Charter Local Edition with your host, Mark Staples.
Welcome to Charter's Local Edition, coming to you from the Cody High School in Cody, Wyoming, host to the 2016 Wyoming Association of Municipalities Conference, also known as WAM, and one of the vaunted attendees to the conference, actually a state official, the treasurer of the state of Wyoming, Mark Gordon. Mark, thanks for coming, stopping and seeing us. What's your history? How did you come to be the treasurer of the state of Wyoming? And how long have you been?
I've been the treasurer for about 4 years. Prior to that, I worked for an oil company, Apache Corporation. I grew up on a ranch in Casey, Wyoming, not too far away from here, home to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and
it's home or hideout?
Well, hideout, I guess.
Right.
The irony of it is also where the Johnson County War took place, which is where the Cheyenne cattlemen had come up to rub out the little guys up in Casey and Buffalo area. So I think it's a little bit of an irony to be back in Cheyenne as the state treasurer.
Wasn't the movie of that the big one?
Heaven's Gate?
Yeah, where they spent all the money on Wallace, Idaho. And rebuilt the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Broke the movie theater, rebuilt that community.
Exactly so.
So what's happening some of us are from Montana originally and we've had similar aspects. We were flush for a while, oil was going, gas was going, and now there's a bit of a lull. Mm-hmm. Are you facing those challenges in Wyoming?
Yeah, Wyoming was hit pretty hard. I have to say our revenues are down substantially. We're off somewhere between 20 and 30%. Our sales tax is off pretty substantially.
You wouldn't know it by the streets of Cody, I'll tell you.
Well, but Wyoming has always been proud to talk about its three-legged stool, and I'll just give you a little bit of that, and that is, and it's like Montana, we have agriculture. It's a strong component. I keep referring to it as the backbone because good times and bad, we're always here.
Yeah.
We're still in
People got to eat.
People got to eat. The second one is tourism. Cody's a hotspot for tourism. The park had record attendance. It's the 100th centennial anniversary of the Park Service, and Yellowstone's featured large this year. Last year, record numbers. So in the state, we've seen pretty dramatic improvement in sales tax revenues in these western counties, particularly Teton County has done very well. And then, of course, we have energy. But as you know, in Montana, the energy jobs pay $80,000 or so on average, and the tourism jobs are less than that. And ag, those of us in ag just love the lifestyle.
Well, you've had robust communities, though, and that is the balance. So when one segment is down, the other segment is up, thus far.
Yeah.
And that has been the case here, correct?
Yeah, it is. There are some counties, Campbell County, that has been very hard hit by, some call it the war on coal, but certainly the downturn in the coal markets. That's been a dramatic problem for them. I think oil industry, Converse County, these are both eastern counties, have seen that, and that's kind of spilled over into adjacent communities. My own county of Johnson, kind of a little bit to the west of Campbell, also saw the hit. But you do have these robust communities. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm proud to be from Wyoming about, is because when times get tough, we tend to sort of knuckle down and kind of pull through.
Well, I will say there's a Western ethos that is more used to it than some other places. There's no built-in income really anywhere.
Yeah.
Perhaps a little bit government, but even then, like you say, you're down 25%. You got to rein in.
Right.
Where are you going to rein in?
Well, we're doing that little by little. That's a lot of what the conversation here at the conference is. How do you rein in your budgets? We're doing that at the state level. The governor has asked for 8% reductions. That's on top of a few other cuts that we took this winter. We're redoing our entire Our office, we run an office that's very lean and mean. We're looking at all the efficiencies that we can get there. And I think over the next few years, we're going to start to have to talk about what the services are that we can do without. And I think we may have to talk about revenue enhancements. These are all going to be challenges. But Wyoming is a great state. We are lean and mean. And, somehow I remember back in the last collapse that we had, it was back in the 1980s. If you remember, I think Montana remembers that well. If I remember correctly, both of us took pretty substantial hits in revenue, and that was also a time when the production credit associations were having trouble and a lot of ag loans were outstanding. A lot of people went through distress, and yet it was a great time to build a business. My wife and I built one of the first of 3 of businesses at that point. A mail order catalog out of Sheridan, Wyoming that did very, very well.
Well, it is a little bit like winters in the West. A lot of people move to our beautiful states and say, this is the greatest place to summer I ever, and then at 20 below, I think maybe we'll sell that trophy out. So the tough times do separate the wheat from the chaff. There's no question about that. Anyway, well, I look forward to following your career and obviously and seeing how Wyoming it always pulls through.
Yeah.
There's a Western ethos and there's a Western will. So with people like you at the helm, I think you're going to be just fine.
Well, I appreciate it. It's really the people of Wyoming, and there we're blessed in a lot of ways. I look back to the beginning of the 1970s. As far back as then, we recognized the need we would only be able to harvest these resources one time. And so we set aside a substantial amount of that in our permanent mineral trust fund. That now sits at about $7 billion, and that and the rest of the portfolio, it's kind of fun. For the smallest state in the country, we are, according to Pensions and Investments magazine, the 33rd largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. According to the Sovereign Wealth Institute, we're 48th. And what that allows us to do, if we're careful, is to be able to shepherd our resources to help diversify our economy. We're starting to see that happen now. We've seen technology take hold. We've seen right here in Cody, Cody Labs is a firm that basically is a drug company, and they're expanding their resources. We have Wyoming Authentic Products. We have firearms manufacturing going on here around the state. We have other enterprises, high-tech types of things.
Those funds from the extraction industries that were set aside. Now, there have been a lot of attempts to raid those.
Yeah, there have. Luckily, the people of Wyoming put that in their constitution.
That it takes 2/3 of a vote to...
And actually,
that's almost impossible.
It is.
To break
That's
in.
exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, we sure want to thank you for coming to the conference and spending your time with us and stopping by to see us at Charter's Local Edition. Wish you the best, and Wyoming, I'd have to say Wyoming's in good hands.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Mark Gordon, State Treasurer, thank you for tuning in to Local Edition.
Charter Local Edition has been an exclusive presentation of Charter Communications, providing original programming.